Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Flameworking 102.46 Mica. A couple of you have asked me about using mica in the glass. And a couple of weeks ago when I did the luster powders, let me show you these powders right here. These are actually a base of mica. They're just coated in different metal oxides. So what I have for you today is an actual piece of raw mica. I've had this for years and years and years, and it lasts forever. Whether you are using a raw mica or a mica powder, they work exactly the same. So I'm going to share with you how I play with this stuff. And on that note, I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon. All right, here's my piece of mica, and like I said in the description, you can find raw mica in this form at most rock and mineral shops or even a metaphysical shop. And what I'm going to do here is just take a butter knife and start to scrape the edge of the rock until the flakes start coming off and filling up my graphite pad. You can use I'm using a butter knife here, but you can use a razor blade or anything you want. Just scrape as much off as you need. And this rock or mineral, it will last forever. I've had this little stone forever. Anyway, look at the sparkle that this gives. I'm so excited. Let's go ahead and try it out. I'm going to do a double layer of mica flakes on this bead. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to do a base of white, and a lot of people ask me about the white that I use, and I only use white from Effetri number 204. It's my favorite white, and I couldn't ask for a better white. Anyway, I'm just going to start by getting my footprint on the mandrel here, making sure that my mandrel is nice and hot before the glass touches it, so the bead release does not gas off and bubble up into your glass. And if that happens, just start popping those bubbles and roll it out until they're all gone. And I'm going to roll this out into just a long, even shape here, making sure I get my edges just right. And then I'll go ahead and move forward with some color. All right, that looks good. So let's go ahead and add some wraps here. I want this to kind of go from a green to a blue. So I'm going to start out by adding 2 wraps of my medium grass green, following up with it's like a transparent teal in the middle. And I'll add my wraps there. And I'm trying to get them very close together so all 6 wraps will fit, but I also don't want them to touch each other. Just for the effect. But like always, you can add whatever colors you like and go from there. A little bit more of this aqua blue to finish it off. And now I'm going to start just heating all of these discs up nice and evenly. Once one side gets kind of bright hot, I'll move to the other side and get that bright hot and move back, and slowly but surely you'll see everything start to melt together nice and evenly. And then I'll give it a little roll. And I want this nice and even because I'm going to be putting my first layer of the mica flakes on this. So right here, it looks good. I like the shape. And now I want to just really heat everything up and then go right into my little chips of mica. Grab as much as I can. This is not something that you want to go back into the blast of the heat. I'm going to hold this out just to keep it warm while I get my clear glass ready to encase. Okay, so we're going to encase this, and like with the Lumiere flakes that I did last week, you kind of want to keep this bead underneath the flame while you are adding your clear glass. You don't really want to overheat the mica flakes. But if you do, it's okay. you might have some bubbling happening. The mica can gas off a little bit because it's a natural material, and you might see small bubbles in your glass where the mica was a little bit too hot. And you'll see that in this as well, but I don't worry about that. I just keep going on. And I'm gonna get a little bit of, well, I want to pull this clear glass back into my bead. I got a little bit too much on that edge, so I'm gonna use my butter knife and just kind of get that clear glass going back towards the center of the bead, so I don't have a whole bunch on the end. And I'll go ahead and kind of clean this other side up as well. Just kind of shaping the edges, rounding them out a little bit. And now I just want to heat everything up and smooth it all out so I can get my second layer of flakes or chips or whatever you want to call it. The mica. Mica is so fascinating. You know, this mineral has a million uses to it. You know, you can flake it off. Look at how this looks on the bead. It's so beautiful. You see that sparkle happening already? But mica, I mean, you know how you can peel the mica flakes apart. People would use these as windows, you know, way back when in ancient times. But it does have a lot of uses. Okay, so I have picked up my second layer of mica flakes, and now I'm going to go ahead and encase it again. And I do my best to try to encase it nice and tight. I'm overlapping slightly as I go. And if there's any areas that I did not get, I tend to see them in the flame when it gets hot, and I will add a little extra clear on top of those spots so it's all encased. I don't want any of the mica chips floating to the surface. So I got a big sloppy encasement of clear here. And now I want to just go ahead and clean everything up again, getting back into my shape, pulling my edges in, making everything look nice. And, you know, like picking up the flakes or this mica, it's so easy. There's nothing to it. You just get your bead hot and you roll into the material. But the problem that I think most people have is once they go into the material, they want to heat it up. And you really don't want to do that because that will burn off some of that product. And it will not look nice when you encase over it. So it's really, really important to kind of keep everything out of the flame until it's encased. Once it's encased, you know, like right here, you can go ahead and give it a full heat and shape away. Now for the mica, I want to add like a whole bunch of clear. So I'm actually going to add 2 more encasements of this. The mica, when it's hot and it's underneath just one layer of clear, sometimes I notice that it kind of wants to rise up through that clear glass to the surface. And I'm not looking at it through a microscope or anything, but at least that's what it seems like to me. So in order to really keep that mica down in the glass, I like to add many, many layers of clear. Plus, it gives it a nice look in the end, a nice magnified look. So that's my 3rd layer, maybe 4th layer, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to heat this up and work the edges again and just get it, like I say, into a nice shape. And we have another, I think another encasement to do here. So I'm just going to round everything out a little bit. And this final encasement, I believe it's the final encasement, is just going to be just in the center. Because what I'm looking for in the end is a nice big round bead. And adding these little swipes of clear in the center of the bead, I'm not going from edge to edge, I'm just in the center, will help make it round, a round bead. So a little bit more here. And I'll go ahead and just clean up where those encasement layers started and ended. So I'm just going to use my graphite pad here, roll the bead on, smooth all this out. And it does take time. You know, the final shaping of this bead maybe took 4 or 5 minutes. And now you see it getting a little bit rounder and rounder as I shape up the edges. And everything else here is really all about just the heat. The, turning the mandrel and getting it in the heat. The glass always wants to go to the hottest point. So I try to keep most of my glass in the middle of the flame. And it will just, after time, you give it time, it'll round out and you'll have this beautiful mica encased bead. I love the way this looks, you guys. I hope if you have some mica and you've been having issues with it, I hope this kind of clears things up about the flame and, not overheating it. And I hopefully you will have better luck if you have been trying to use the mica. And there it is, you guys. Let me know what you think. I love the sparkle, love the sparkle. And with that said, I'll see you guys next time in the dungeon.